Welcome back to another episode of eXhuming the X-Files here on Outpost Unknown. My name is Matthew, he is Jeremy,
I am.
and tonight we are talking D.P.O, the first Monster of the Week standalone episode of Season 3. It's time to summon some lightning from the heavens with good old Jack Black and Giovanni Ribisi. We actually have two I guess, pre-famous actors in this one. Did you have any memory of D.P.O before you watched it?
No, not at all.
I did, because I remember Jack Black for whatever reason. I remember the lightning stuff. I didn't remember exactly how the plot went, but I remembered images from this episode. So this was kind of fun to get into. It's always nice. We've had 3 episodes in a row, essentially, of alien mythology arc stuff. So it's time to sort of step away and let's just go investigate a weird case. So what are we investigating tonight?
Those damn teens down at the arcade is what we're investigating.
The strangely abandoned arcade.
Well, it was like 11:30 on probably like a Tuesday or something back then.
Maybe.
So the opening scene and I put old school arcade, but it would have been just like a real arcade. I don't know. Have you been into a modern arcade lately?
Yes, I have.
Like you got claw machines, you got
Yeah.
like games that are just kind of bogus that are there to take your money. I've seen Flappy Bird on like a giant touch screen and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
genuine arcade games compared to what we saw in this episode, it's a dead art, it feels like anymore.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
so
Everything is like round 1. If you've been to round 1 at Gateway, like everything is like that now. Dave
so,
and Buster's, stuff like that.
so shit. But back then, you could walk in with $20 worth of quarters and probably spend an entire evening just pumping quarters into a particular machine and just having a good time. But $20 less you 30-40 minutes a month.
Yeah.
But anyway, bitching aside,
We're old men.
yeah. Back in my day we had fighting games. And that's what we start making our way towards, because there's some dude who's left his pizza delivery convertible outside, and he's standing at a fighting cab playing some game that sounds like he's pressing all the buttons, but it sounds like they're playing Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. Like you hear the jumping and the coins whenever he gets hit, but they're putting it to the game track. I thought it was funny.
The actual arcade game I'm playing is Virtua Fighter. That's what they show when they actually show the screen, especially later on when Mulder's watching it. When you see D.P.O in the top 10, it's actual Virtua Fighter.
Yeah. But with Sonic the Hedgehog music behind it.
Yeah, of course.
He's just sitting there playing of all the fucking arcade cabs that are all empty, because there's got to be 50 arcade cabs sitting there. Just the one is being used. And this dude comes back looking like modern day Sling Blade's got his hat on, like, that's my game there. And Jack Black is standing behind him like, holy shit, it's Jables. I recognize the kid up front, but not by name, but it's Jables. And like the pizza guy, like it was a dick swinging contest like it was back then. They don't even like play against each other for control of the cab. Like, oh yeah, you don't want to throw down for who wants to play. Like, step up. Let's see who's the better Virtua Fighter player. Now, it's just a dick swinging contest because Sling Blade wants to fucking play the arcade game because he thinks it belongs to him.
Yep.
He scares the guy away because all of a sudden he's able to like kill all of the lights and all of the arcade cabs in there. And so the pizza delivery guy just bounces. Then he gets in his car. I noticed this because normally they zoom in on like the what do you I don't even know what the name of that thing is. The shifter, or where it tells you whether you're in reverse, neutral, drive, second gear, or first gear.
Mm-hmm.
They zoom in on that. Normally you're supposed to put it on drive, then they stomp on the gas and peel away, but they just yanked on it too hard and put it in first gear, which means you could accelerate to like 10 miles an hour really, really, really fast, but you're not really going to get much further than that. Just thought it was worth mentioning. He He starts peeling out of the parking lot. He makes it about 20 feet. His car goes into these electrical fits, and then he gets fucked to death by his car. There's no there's no like bad like electrical animation that's coursing into his body. He just starts like humping the seat really, really hard,
Yeah.
and then he
Just
dies.
super vibration going on. At first, I was like, "What is happening here?" Like they should have done some sort of electrical something. I understand that technically you would not see electricity going all over someone's body or anything, but it was not exactly clear initially what was going on.
He was getting railed by that seat, man. I saw him
Yeah,
in it like a champ, but it was enough to kill him. And
yeah,
so he dies out in the parking lot. Then it kind of zooms in on the creep that's inside the arcade, and he turns around to go back and play his game. And then we get the title screen.
yeah. And Jack Black is, I guess, I don't know, the employee at this arcade, and he's a friend of Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, he has no special powers himself with electricity. He's just a loser working an
Yeah,
arcade.
he's trying to not
For
get on his bad side through this episode.
for all the good it did him.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert. So we get to or the next scene after the title screen where they're talking to the local autopsy guy because he's looking at an entirely cooked dude, and it's James Cameron. I don't know if you noticed that, but the autopsy guy, it looks like Wish.com James Cameron talking about how this dude got like struck by lightning. It's just odd that this was what the fourth or fifth victim in the last few weeks or something like that in this
yeah.
particular areas, and that's why Mulder and Scully are there. They're talking to this autopsy guy, and then this cop shows up for no reason and just starts waving his dick around the room like,
Yeah.
"Wait, not doing your homework about lightning? I understand that it only happens. This only happens nationwide about 3 times a year, and it's been 5 times a year. But we produce lightning in this town, so get out."
This is your classic small town cop does not like the FBI and is going to try to make it as hard as possible for the FBI to do their job.
And what's funny is he just rips into Scully, and Scully doesn't say anything about it. And Mulder just like doesn't tag in or
Yeah,
help.
Mulder.
She bitches at him.
Yeah, Mulder's just watching, and after the guy leaves, she's like, anytime you want to jump in and help me out here, and he's like, you got this. You're a strong, independent woman who can take care of yourself. You don't need a man to come in and help you
she
out.
she didn't got this. She got ran over by that cop. So they find out that another kid, or no, I'm sorry, they go to the crime scene itself, or not the crime scene, but where the guy got supposedly struck by lightning in the seat of his car, and they see an arcade right next door because they're figuring that it's in a strip mall. All of these other places were closed. This is the only place that was open. What time did he get off work? Okay, so he came here to play at the arcade. So they go in, they start talking to, or Scully starts talking to Jack Black. Jack Black is no fucking punk ass narc, so he isn't going to say anything.
He's like John Connor's friend in Terminator 2
Yeah.
with the T-1000. Hey, you seen this kid? Nah, man. No. I don't know what you're talking about. Wasn't here.
And then for some reason, again, of all of the arcade cabs to be drawn to, Mulder just makes a beeline for the Virtua Fighter one, and he sees that all of the top scores are held by one guy, D.P.O, and that they have a timestamp on them of like 11:30 at night. Didn't he see one for the guy though? Not D.P.O, but for the guy that died outside?
I don't remember that. I thought for whatever I'm trying to remember why he
Well,
went up to the Virtua Fighter machine. Did Jack Black tell him
no,
that?
no. Jack Black at that point was still like denying that anybody was there, and it was as a result of looking at the timestamps on the Virtua Fighter machine. That's like, oh, that's who that was. Okay, yeah, there was a guy here. Fucking
Well, Mulder asked. Oh yeah, because Mulder asked Scully. Scully's got the the file, whatever, and she's like, "Oh, all those victims who got hit by lightning. What are their names?" And then she comes across Darren Peter Osborne because the sheriff was like, "Well, one." They're like, "There's been 5 people hit, 5 victims of lightning," and the sheriff's like, "No, there's actually 4." Because one of the guys who got hit by lightning didn't actually die, and then Darren Peter Osborne, Muller's like, "D.P.O. We got a clue."
Go talk to this one kid.
I do have one comment here. I wanted to ask you this question. We just got off like this crazy mythology arc. All of this crazy shit has happened to our heroes. Did you find it very strange just diving right back into like a quote unquote normal investigation and them acting like essentially nothing in the previous episodes happened at all? Because it felt jarring to me.
See, I didn't. I was already ready to change gears.
Okay.
They've done this kind of to us in season 1 and season 2 where
Yeah.
we would have this stuff, but I think we've talked about it in previous shows where we like the mythology, we like the taste of it, but we want to get away from it from time to time. And though the last 3 episodes, bam, 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 to be continued all in a row, were very, very good, I was ready to kind of, give the government conspiracy shit a rest for a while.
Yeah, I
So,
did. I definitely was as well. I guess I'm asking more, does it just feel weird that they completely kind of shift the characters themselves? Like there's no residual effects, I guess. Like we don't see Mulder and Scully still kind of like dealing with the effects of what happened of Scully's sister just being killed and stuff like that. And suddenly it's like, well, none of that actually ever happened. I'm totally down with jumping back into a Monster of the Week episode, but I wonder if it these shows, and it's probably, there's 24 episodes in the season, so they kind of have to do this in a way. But I wonder if there's a better way in which you could write characters like this where you don't have to focus. DPO doesn't have to focus on aliens, but maybe we have a moment or two with the characters here and there where it's like, okay, they're still feeling some effects of what just happened. Maybe Scully just, looks at a photo of her sister while they're in a car or something like that, and then puts it away, just so that you see that there's still residual. They're still dealing with stuff that happened before. This just felt to me like, oh, we're
see,
just on a case, no big deal.
See, I think it's just a matter of changing gears back to what television was back then. Because
Yeah.
we do in the future, we do circle back around to the traumas that these people go through. And there are some or elements, story arcs, or just individual episodes that deal somewhat with the problems that they've run into in these older episodes. But when you have this weekly series where we all as an audience get to breathe 1 week or more between every episode,
That's a
like
good point.
all of our lives continue. And so I think in the canon of our minds, like a week has passed, maybe even more time has passed between the end of that episode and this one. We have no idea what they've been up to, but they've had time to process that or something. I don't know. When you're talking about just binge
Yeah.
watching it, that's what creates these problems I think you're talking
Oh,
about.
yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't even sort of thought of it in that way, but that actually makes much more sense to me now because, like, yeah, you watch it back in the day, and a week has gone by, you're not even focused on it, and you just assume that, oh yeah, just like if something bad shit happened to you on Monday, by Friday, you're not even thinking about it anymore, right? You're on to something else. That makes a lot more sense. So, point taken. Thank you, sir.
No problem. So they we cut to this great scene where Hey Man Nice Shot from fucking Filter is
Oh
playing,
yeah.
and you have Sling Blade underneath the car, and these hot legs just start walking towards him, and he just looks out of the corner of his eye. He knows that this girl's walking up. He's like, "Oh shit, I gotta straighten myself out." Gets out from underneath this car. This smoke show, like teacher looking gal is standing there, like, "Oh, my husband is missed out on her date or something." I can't remember what she was bitching about, but Sling Blade was all like, I would treat you nice. I'd never miss a meal. Ever. I've got to say straight up, I've liked that guy. I think he was one of the better characters in Band of Brothers.
Oh yeah.
He is a very good actor, but they should not have gone. What do you say? You never. They should not have had him intellectually challenged.
Mm,
I mean, they should have maybe not quite as sped as he was, but he didn't do a good job of it. I
he
really didn't like his character.
he overplayed it quite a bit. Like and there's a factoid about his casting in this that we'll get to after that might sort of address. There was concern, let's just say, there was concern on casting him for this role, and I agree with you. I think he goes a little too hard into um the sling bladiness of it. We'll say to be nice.
But what? Well, okay, I'll talk about it at the end. But okay, so he is clearly into this super hot chick, which
He's
who
hot for teacher,
wouldn't?
man.
And then all of a sudden, his boss pulls up. We find out that his boss, or this kid's boss at the mechanic shop, is this smoke show's hot husband. And like, okay, right as he shows up, you kind of find that he's not really an asshole, like he's being portrayed briefly, and that this kid has no shot with this girl. This lady does not have feelings for him, like at all. She's just
Yeah,
nice to him, but he's got carrying such a torch for this chick.
burning
Um,
loins.
so well, we're all young once. Uh, Mulder and Scully find out who D.P.O is. He wants they kind of put on or to him through Jack Black, but not really. They just figure out that they want to talk to the one survivor to see if he knows anything or understands, what is going on. They go talk to him for a little bit. He doesn't really say anything, and then Slingblade torches Mulder's phone while in his pocket,
Yeah, it just like melts.
and
I
then he
love that. Like,
just
he doesn't even notice it at first, and Scully's like, Mulder, as smoke is like profusely
pouring out of
coming
his.
from like in the pocket in his inner jacket, and he's like, "Oh!" When he throws it down, like we'll just call him Sling Blade. Sling Blade's like, "Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
See
he
you
just says,
later."
"Bummer, I'm gonna go now," and
Yeah.
then just leaves. Okay. Then he's hanging out at his mom's place. His mom's watching television, and fucking Slingblade is fucking with the channels, like making it go fuzzy on her.
She's
Because
just bitching the
he
whole
hates his
time.
mom for some reason. I don't know why. Uh, Jack Black shows up, and they're gonna go out and hang out. They leave their house, and he's like his loins are on fire. He's
Yeah.
feeling like the cops got put onto him. Maybe Jack Black put them onto me. Jack Black was like, "No, man, I didn't do anything." He's like, "Well, I feel like a barbecue." So he's gonna go kill some cows with lightning while Jack Black watches, which kind of looked cool. Like,
It did look cool. I liked it.
but and then the next day, the asshole cop from earlier, is investigating these 3 dead cows, and he's just really talking down to him. It's like, you see this spot right here, it's called fulgurite, and it's the lightning struck right here, it killed all of these cows, case closed. It wasn't anything weird like you think it was. Then Mulder pulls this piece of fulgurite, which, as an audience, if you don't know what fulgurite is, when lightning strikes the ground, it melts sand oftentimes in a weird pattern and just kind of sticks it together, it melts it into glass. And you end up getting these weird lightning strike patterns underneath the dirt you can dig out. They dig one up. It has a boot print in it, and they're like, all right, well, this shouldn't be here, so we have something to go on.
I did have a note back just briefly back to that scene when he's lightning the cows. Jack Black is he literally goes, "Not the cows again," and he just sprints off and just rolls down this hill as Ribisi is just like Thor pulling lightning from the sky. I thought that was actually kind of funny, just the way Jack Black plays this pretty serious. Like he's not over the top, goofy, tenacious D Jack Black in this, but you get just little hints here and there of what is to come with Mr. Jack Black.
But he was your typical teenage irresponsible friend. He tries to talk sense to him sometime, and that's the
Yeah.
very next scene. Is Sling Blade is sitting out at an intersection, fucking with the traffic lights, trying to get cars to crash into each other for fun. And then Jack Black sees him doing it and doesn't really have anything to say about, like, you do your thing, bud. But when it comes to chicks, like, you got them all wrong. They don't, this teacher, he tries to talk sense to him about
Yeah.
this teacher, and
He's like, "You got
like
no shot, bro. You got no shot." He's like, "You cannot compete with her husband. Her husband can, provide her with all of this stuff. Like, you can't compete." And he even tries to get him. He's like, "Dude, let's just get out of this town. Let's just go somewhere else and, live life." Ribisi is not having it. He's hot for teacher. He he's blinded by lust.
he ain't gonna give up on this one piece of trim. But I think Jack Black was right. They could go to Vegas, fuck around with a few of the slot machines, get
Yeah, he does say
absolutely
that.
rich,
Yeah.
find some chicks that are just way hotter, But no, Sling Blade wants this one girl. So the FBI goes to or they go to Sling Blade's house. Sling Blade's mom lets them in his bedroom, and they find a picture, or like Mulder finds a porn mag, which is another one of these perversion jokes. And Scully's like, you seen this one yet? He's like, yeah, I've already got this issue, but and he starts into it, and he finds a picture of his teacher inside the porn mag, which
I'm like, I was watching this like, Mulder, why are you handling that without gloves?
yeah.
Like, don't touch Sling Blade's porno. Like, don't be flipping through the pages of that, buddy.
He's You know what? He just likes rolling in the muck. He knows the score. He knows what's going on, and he likes it.
Uh,
Part of what makes us like him.
yeah.
So they find the picture of his teacher, realize that that the teacher is married to the dude's boss. In the meantime, Sling Blade has successfully caused a car accident. The cop is out there trying to, direct traffic. His boss shows up with the tow truck, and Sling Blade decides to give heart attack to the I think, at least that's what it's implying. Did it seem like to you that he was causing the heart attack to happen?
Yeah, because the guy freezes up and he looks over at Sling Blade, and their eyes connect, and it's almost like the guy knows that he's doing it or something. Like, there is a weird thing there. And so, yeah, Sling Blade like caught, I assume, the electrical. He's doing something with the electrical system of the heart, and he causes the heart attack. And then his big plan here is, I'm gonna go use my hand paddles, bring him back, and that's gonna make my teacher love me.
But it just completely gives him away as somebody who has a way to point the finger at him. It was
Yeah.
really, really stupid. He should have just killed him and then tried to move in. Like, that seems a little bit more Sling Blade speed for all of the evil shit that he's been doing in this episode, but never mind. That doesn't happen. Um what is it?
The next thing I have on my notes is Mulder and Scully talk to the hot teacher, and she
And
confesses she knew that he loves her and stuff like that, and that he told her he had powers and
dangerous
shit like that.
powers. Yeah. And she just didn't do anything about it and didn't start believing it until, like, the first heart attack the guy had.
Yeah, she
In
because
the
she's
mean
scared. She's really scared that he's going to kill her husband, and so she's just trying to like play kind of nice with him and not like lead him on, but show him enough attention that maybe he'll kind of be satisfied with that. But no, he wants
No.
more.
No, well, I mean, did you look at her?
Oh yeah, she was good looking.
Yeah, really. Like,
But is she Minneapolis hooker attractive
oh
to
yeah,
you?
this has got to be one of the hottest chicks that have been on the show yet.
Okay.
It blew my mind. Well, no, it does. I guess it doesn't blow my mind that it wasn't a Mulder love interest, because the ones he's into are just dogs on this show, comparatively speaking. But so they think that Blade is coming after the gal at the hospital while she's sitting in, the hospital room with her husband. but really he's going after Jack Black because he thinks Jack Black just completely narked him out to the FBI.
Yeah, he keeps saying that. Like when they come in comment, he's like, "Did Jack Black tell you this?" And Jack Black throughout the episode keeps telling him like, "No, man, I'm not gonna like narc on you. I would never do that." He doesn't believe him.
And then my following note is that no, well, he does kill him, and then he sticks him in an elevator right as about they lock the hospital down because they know he's on the way.
Hmm.
And then elevator opens, it's Jack Black's dead body. Sling Blade shows up out of nowhere with Scully there, and I have this note that Scully gets in trouble a lot because she draws her weapon, draws down on a guy, warns them, and never fucking fires when they don't listen to her commands. She does it a lot. She just did it with Skinner a couple episodes ago. She got body slammed through that table. Like, it seems like she gets the drop on a lot of people, but she doesn't. I don't know. She should have just put a bullet in Sling Blade right then and there once he didn't listen to her, because she knows that he is frying and killing people.
Look, they just got reinstated as FBI agents.
Oh,
You want her to go out there and shoot a 16-year-old horny kid? Is that what you're telling her to do there?
Did you? He was listening to Filter, man. He probably had like a Marilyn Manson T-shirt somewhere. That's what this whole episode is about.
He's actually wearing a Vandals T-shirt through
Yeah.
most of it.
Yeah, no, who remembers who's listening to this? Who remembers who the fucking Vandals were? That's not you, Matt. I'm just
Corey, our number one fan. You listen to the Vandals, right? Leave a comment for us.
Buying that. No, there was. We were I mean, outside of the clearly retarded shit that this guy was doing, like, this was us back in high school. We were hanging around arcades over at the Fun Factory in the Conestoga. We were wearing baggy jeans somewhat, video gaming, punk rock, band.
I totally had a Marilyn Manson shirt.
Yeah. Like, this episode was just written because we were afraid, or parents were afraid of kids that dressed like that and hung around arcades back then. That's what that's part of the reason that I both loved and hated how they made the main character soft in the head, because the episode was about the kids in the culture, not that they were fucking slow.
Yeah,
but
I agree with that. I before we get to the very end here, I do want to mention I have a note here about the Jack Black death scene, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Like, Jack Black's in there working in an empty arcade once again, and all the arcade machines go off and the lights go out, and that's kind of like he knows now that Ribisi's coming to get him, whatever. And he runs outside and he's screaming like, "Hey man, we're buddies, we're buddies!" And Ribisi just that lightning bolt just wham hits him in the back, and he throws like 5,000 quarters just released from Jack Black's body, and I thought that was a really cool shot. And then there's that low angle of Ribisi. He's like standing on the roof, like looking down and like smiling as he just murdered his friend.
Aren't they playing "Hey Man, Nice Shot"?
Yeah,
too. Yeah, that was a cool scene.
Good fucking song. If anyone out there is listening, they're like, "Who's Filter? What's that song?" Look up "Hey Man, Nice Shot" by Filter. It's a great song.
Great song. And so, yeah, you got all the fucking tokens just blasting out of him. All right, so the mom, which at this point she decides, like, no, don't shoot this kid. I'll just go away with you. Like,
yeah, she's trying to get him away from everybody because he's basically losing his mind now, and he's just killing people left and right.
Kind of like, I think she's into it at this point. Was there any like over the top indicator from her that, like, I am not into this boy? From the first moment that they met at the garage, she was like kind of.
You think she's into this guy?
She just agrees to fucking go with him.
But to like protect her husband and get him away from everybody.
He wasn't threatening the husband. She had an FBI agent with a gun drawn right there. Like,
Yeah, okay. You're making me reconsider.
I,
I didn't get the feeling though she's
I
just
don't think
into the
like
kid.
I don't think she's ride or die bestie for this dude, but nothing that she does says that she's just completely
She just wants a
void
little
of the
buzz.
idea.
Like, put your fingers here and give me a little buzz, buddy.
You remember what you did to that pizza guy with the violent bucking? Yeah, let's give it a little bit of that, a little bit of less dying, but so. But she goes with him. She goes with him willingly, with no plan in place whatsoever to save her ass.
Yeah.
And so she gets away, and then when she gets outside, like how does she get away from him and start running where Mulder grabs her and hides behind the dumpster? Which why was Mulder outside behind a fucking dumpster? I don't know how he got there.
I just watched this. I feel like I thought Mulder distracted him or something, and that's what caused her to run away. Because there's that moment where when she does run away, she gets away from him. Oh no, no, no.
The cop
Remember,
shows up.
yeah,
But
remember, like she's there with him, and he gets distracted by something because he turns around and sees her running away, and then he starts freaking out. Like he doesn't
yeah,
even know she runs. But yeah, what was that? Let me look that up. I'll keep going, and then I'll check the synopsis here
so
as
he
well.
gets distracted somehow. The asshole cop shows up for no reason at all, just to get barbecued, I guess. Old girl, like Mulder, just happened to be by a dumpster that was a ways down the way and just grabs her, covers her mouth, tucks her down. He starts throwing this fucking like chimp strength rage fit. He's like, no, I want the girl and I want this. Like, he
Tell me
starts
where she is. Okay,
and
it's the
the cop,
sheriff. It's the sheriff. So the sheriff shows up to stop him, and that's what causes her to run away because he's distracted by that cop.
and he immediately focuses all his rage on the cop. He starts barbecuing trees. The cop doesn't draw down on him like, now, son, now I understand that these are just random lightning strikes that I've been talking about this entire episode, so that's just a coincidence, but you need to calm down. And he gets barbecued.
Yep.
That we don't see, however. No lightning ever strikes the guy. He just falls over. Lightning strikes the kid, but never strikes the cop.
Yeah.
Um, and so what happens?
Then he lightning bolts himself.
But he
Like
did that with the cows.
well, but I guess this is just super powerful lightning.
Okay. Well, I mean,
He
he was
starts.
mad. He was really mad.
Yeah, he's screaming and yelling. I think the madder he gets, the more electricity he can generate, is what it seems like. And he was so fucking pissed off because with the cow scene, he's yelling up at the sky. With this scene, he is just screaming in rage that this woman is running away from him. I guess he calls the lightning bolt down onto himself. I don't know if that was involuntary or if it just happened, but boom, it just hits him and then he's knocked out. And
And
then
the
Mulder
cop gets
runs up.
knocked out too. Like don't they fall over at the same time?
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was bad. Whatever it was,
Yeah,
it didn't work for me. It was bad.
good to know.
But anyway. And then it just kind of ends like the kid is watching television in some padded room.
It's like
Don't
where Tony Shalhoub is from Soft Light. It
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
like the exact same room.
And then, yeah, I just wrote, I think this whole episode was about parents worried about their kids listening to alternative, punk, and industrial rock and roll and wearing band t shirts. That's what the whole episode was about.
Yeah. Well, your thoughts on D.P.O.
Uh, as I expected, it didn't live up to the previous three arcs, but I still really liked it. I really liked Jack Black's performance in it. The
Yeah,
husband and the
he's good.
wife were really good. The cop was the dickhead, but he was a dickhead and I hated him, but that just is a credit to the character and how well it was acted.
Hmm.
Wasn't big on DPO himself because I think that character would have been much more interesting if he was just a loser, maybe slightly uneducated, but not full fucking sling blade. Just
Yeah.
not that way.
Yeah, this was an episode I thought was like okay. Like it wasn't anything that I didn't have a complete letdown after watching the first two episodes of this season. But this was one of those things where I was like, okay, if I had spent it, like, if I had watched those first two episodes and then, like you were kind of mentioning earlier, waited a week and then watched this one, I think I probably would have liked it a little more than I did. But just kind of watching it back to back to back to back, because we always do like 4 episodes at a time, it just felt so tonally like the shift was jarring in terms of what it was doing. But yeah, I thought Jack Black, I agree with you. I thought he was pretty good in this episode, and he's in it a lot. He's not some
Yeah.
throwaway character. He's in it pretty much all the way to the end. I did like the arcade. I wish they would have, sprung to have some extras in that arcade to make it like an actual fucking 90s arcade where
You
kids
know
were
what?
in it.
This was a grand horror movement. They just got to film in there for
Yep.
free, like after dark. That's what it looked like.
100%, 100%. But even like in the daytime scenes, there's nobody in that arcade whatsoever. It's like take some people from the crew who are standing around just watching and just throw them in the background, shallow depth of field, playing some video games. Just give me something like that. So there were little moments like that that kind of took me out of it a bit. But overall, I thought this one was okay. Didn't hate it. Thought Ribisi's performance, it's memorable, I think. So if you look at it, his performance is like, well, that's kind of memorable the way he went full sling blade. Um, Fine, but I don't know. This one was just kind of in the middle for me.
It
So,
was one of the worst episodes. It's not going to make my bottom five, I don't think.
oh, for sure, for sure. Like this is just kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna see coming up in season three. Everything else might be so good that this just defaults into the bottom five for all I know. But generally speaking, I would never tell somebody that this is a bad X Files episode.
No.
Just not one that's super high in my hierarchy, I guess. So, trivia from IMDb and Wikipedia. The genesis of this episode can be traced back to a note card reading, quote, Lightning Boy, that series creator Chris Carter had tacked to a board in his office since the first season. Carter's idea had not developed much beyond the two-word idea until the show's writers decided to approach the boy's power as, quote, a metaphor for disenfranchised adolescence, unquote. So there you go. I think you're kind of onto something there. Writer Howard Gordon described the episode's concept as, quote, Beavis and Butthead electrified, unquote. DPO DPO followed a string of mythology episodes, which Gordon believes caused this episode to suffer conceptually. Then story editor Frank Spotnitz claims that the writers initially thought about referencing the developments of these mythology episodes in DPO, but this plan was nixed due to Carter's desire to keep the mythology and Monster of the Week episodes separate. So this kind of gets to my point that the writer room was actually considering putting some sort of like connective tissue between some of that and this, but Chris Carter nixed it. Giovanni Ribisi auditioned for the role of Darren twice. During his first tryout, Carter was dissatisfied with his performance, but after casting director Rick Millican championed his cause and secured him another audition, Carter reconsidered his initial opinion. So Ribisi, the full sling blade Carter wasn't into, I guess he was convinced or talked into it after the second audition, which is kind of interesting. Spotnitz later described Ribisi's performance as, quote, really, really good, unquote. The Sheriff Teller was named after Teller from illusion and comedy duo Penn and Teller. The pair had wanted to appear on an episode of the show, but when conflicting schedules precluded this from happening, this reference was added instead. Special effects supervisor David Gauthier created a unique lightning machine for the episode. The device, concealed in the ground, used mirrors and special generators to create the effect of a lightning strike. The device was very powerful, producing 2.9 million CD of luminous intensity and producing enough energy to, quote, singe the grass, unquote. To keep Ribisi out of harm's way, he stood on a raised platform which was hidden by special camera angles. The final effect was augmented by sparks and smoke. During the filming of this episode, director Kim Manner's best friend was killed. Due to the horrific nature of this turn of events, the production crew were willing to replace him with another director, but he insisted on completing the episode. Mulder stumbles upon a picture of Sharon Kiviat while flipping through Darren's porno magazine. The actress who plays Sharon, Karen Laurie, was Playboy Playmate of the Month for March
Hmm.
1982.
All right. I got
There you
something
go,
to do
Jeremy.
after this is over.
There you go.
Sir.
Playboy Playmate of the Month, March 1982. And the sideways shot of Miss Kiviat's legs, as viewed by D.P.O. from under the car he's working on, is accompanied by the Filter song "Hey Man, Nice Shot," in a subtle reference to D.P.O.'s admiration of Mrs. Kiviat's legs. Filter's frontman is Richard Patrick, whose older brother, Robert Patrick, later became the X-Files regular. He was Special Agent Doggett, I believe, in the later seasons. Of course, Robert Patrick, most well known for playing the T-1000 in Terminator 2. So, there you go. There are some trivia issues from D.P.O. Hit that like and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, because we are back, like I said, every week here on Outpost Unknown. Every Friday, you can check out a new episode, and you're not going to want to miss next week's episode, because we are going to be talking about Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose, which is considered by many, many people to be one of the greatest X-Files episodes, but not only that, people have it on the list as greatest television episodes of all time. So will it live up to these grand proclamations? We're going to find out. So tune in next Friday for Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose. See you then.